Okay, so I decided to do a summary of the botched HVAC install on my home so I can get it all in one video. I hope. Had to take notes. This is what's going on, right? One install. Look at all this stuff. So I'm just going to try and go through. You can look at my other videos. I'll reference them here. But this is a HUD home, Housing and Urban Development home, which is supposed to comply to certain standards for construction. So I'm just pointing that out. None of this stuff should have passed any inspections, and it shouldn't have been done botched in the way it was to begin with. So first thing cover here is cracked pan. I mentioned that in the HVAC stupid install video number 3. The cover on the furnace room was not sealed. The water tracked up the wall. I originally thought it came in from the vent, but that's not true. It actually, because I didn't know the condensation pan was overflowing because it was wintertime and we weren't running the AC. I didn't discover that till summer. He turned on the AC, flooded the room. So what happened is the condensation line, which wasn't ran properly, in the original HVAC video, I explained, HVAC stupid install video, I explained that, the one without any numerical values. And anyway, the water overflowed, flooded the furnace room, got sucked up the wall, and then breached a crack in the furnace room, which I'm fixing to show you. I sealed it with expanding foam. The top of the unit is not cased. According to intertherm instructions, you don't have to have the A coil cased on top, but a professional installer, in my opinion, would have cased that coil on top and not use the sheetrock furnace room as a plenum. So that was on HVAC filters prep. So if you want to watch the video where I'm kind of going through that, some of the information in that video is because I was trying to learn this stuff, is where I'm trying to guess what's going on isn't exactly correct, but I just clarified that. So HVAC filters prep will cover these things that I just described. The original HVAC, it just says HVAC, with nothing beyond that, was one of the original videos I did before I wanted to know how bad this install was. But the water, what was doing, it was penetrating through the back of the wall. Now in that video, I blamed the hot water heater, which was not leaking. I didn't have any evidence other than the floor was all moldy and the back wall was all moldy. So I assumed in the past the water heater had been leaking, and I had no evidence of that other than a wet floor or damaged floor and a moldy wall in the water heater room. So I assumed that, but that was not the case. It was the condensation pan overflowing and then going into the adjacent wall into where the hot water heater was and draining down the hole where the hot water overflow line had penetrated the floor. So that clarifies that a little bit. Flooded water heater room. Gaps in the furnace cover, I've covered that. That's also just HVAC is the name of that video. Condensate line improperly ran, HVAC stupid install. That's the original without a numerical value. That'll explain that. Also, if you go back and you look at HVAC filters prep, just in case somebody wants to say that, oh, gee, someone must have modified something. Not possible. The condensation line, as I explained in one of the videos, has not been modified as far as I'm aware since it was installed. And if it had been, there would have been evidence of protrusions through the skirting of the home, where if they had ran it properly and someone changed it, ran it incorrectly, you would have had protrusions through the skirting of the wall, which didn't exist. And where am I? So that HVAC filters prep video will show the exact condition of the original run on the condensation line in the furnace, okay? And the HVAC, oh, where am I? Condenser's too close to the house. I'm going to show you that. We're going to get under the house tonight. It's blowing water underneath the eaves because it's too close to the house. And the freon line is not supported under the house, and we got some rotten flooring. So I'm going to go through all this really quick and show you. So what's going on here? Take a look. So this poor thing has been permitted, I think, for about 03 was the permit. Don't quote me on that. I'm going off my memory. So about 15 years, roughly, 15 years since the install, which was not done to code and not done correctly. So every summer for 15 years, this pan had been overflowing, flooding this furnace room, going through the studs and the wall behind this coil, behind that cased intertherm, getting into the hot water heater room, and just completely flooding this room out. Now, what it did also is there was a hole. Look up in here. You can see that hole, the water traced up the inside of the wall because there must have been an improper seal on this wall, and it sucked right through. Now, I didn't really do anything but foam it up to close it off because I didn't want the molds coming through, but all of this was leaking. So you can see what's going on here. You can see up back in here. Don't worry about the changes I made. That's fresh air intakes. This is something I added on. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what happened. So that is another issue. So what's going on here? I'm videoing. So what's going on is the water overflowed the pan in the summertime when they're running the AC, got down in around the cased coil, the intertherm, got into the floor, sucked up between the floor, or sucked up between the wall sheetrock, went all the way up, found a hole, and then sucked through. And that's why you had that hole up there. So that pretty much sums this up in here. Everything else I've kind of covered in the other videos. With the condensation pan being cracked, I covered that. The original condensation line, as I referenced earlier in what video, you can look that up, ran across here and ran straight down. I've got a video of that. Of course, I've got a video where I talk about this modification on this one so it actually functions. And I painted the inside of the cavity because it was rusty. Okay, and then I coated that because it was moldy. So we're going to go outside, take a look at the condenser, and I get the evaporative coil and condenser mixed up a lot, but that's because I was just learning. So let's go and take a peek at the rest of it here. And oh, hold on. Let's see what we can see. Do not want to run my system without its filter. Okay, bear with me. I'm putting the filter on so that we're not allowing any more stuff to come through. Oh, by the way, let me cover that. I'm glad I'm back. So if you look at this foam here, what happened when they installed this, when this was installed, the intertherm and the heat pump, as far as I can ascertain, were installed at the same time. So this is a Lennox, as you can see, and this is an intertherm. They were installed at the same time. I thought it was a retrofit, but it wasn't. So if you take a look here, you can see that the bottom housing's cased. So that's cased, and this is not, okay? But there was no insulation. There was no seal around the case here. There was no seal around the face of this cover. So what happened, okay, is all the pet hair and dirt bypassed the filter, bypassed it, got through this opening that I sealed with foam, and completely clogged the coil. How's that look? So that's the condition of the coil after I cleaned it. The coil condition before I cleaned it was 2 inches. 2 inches of pet hair. It was pretty bad. Did all I could to clean it. So that was a mistake, in my opinion, one of the main mistakes, not sealing the front of this assembly. The second major mistake would be not running that condensation line properly. And I don't know how you could miss that. I the more I think about this, the more I think it's just I don't give a crap type attitude, and I'm going to get the job done, and who cares if I cut a couple corners and I'm out of here, I'm done. So I'm starting to think that it's just a matter of someone just being lazy. So here we go. Outside we're going. Okay. And then the protrusions of the condensate line between the A coil and the cased bottom were not sealed, so of course air was leaking through that. Here's the condenser. There's my gap between the house and the condenser. Fan motor's going out. I can tell because I can hear it. Not running smooth. Bearing's going out in the fan motor. From running all the time because the indoor coil, evap's coil was all plugged up. This thing would run. And you don't get enough air going through it to cool down properly. That probably double ran the compressor. So if you take a look here, you can see what's going on. See that? So this is why you don't put that close to your house. See that water damage? So in the winter, when the heat pump's running, water hits the fan, blows up all over the siding, blows up into the siding, blows up under the eaves, and gets this all wet. And of course, gets this all wet. Okay. So I'm going to mask up, bear with me. We're going to go under the house so I can show you some more fun stuff. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're back under the belly of the beast, and take a look at we're going to take a look at how the lines are ran for the cooling freon. So I want you to see this. So this is the fun. This is that condensate line that I described earlier, and I got that so that it'll drain. Okay, so and I put a clean out here, so if you got to clean it out from the inside, it can. But take a look here. Look at this. This is how they ran. This is how my freon lines are ran. Does that look good? I'm not too impressed with that. Now, if I can squeeze through here, maybe. Bear with me. We're going to come over here, and we're going to take a look at what's going on with the floor. Jesus. So this is the underneath of the floor of my heater room, my furnace room. This is my floor. Okay? This is the condensation line. Okay? This is my floor.
See it? See the water stain? Look at this. It goes all the way over there. Here's the overflow drain for the hot water heater. See? See it? This is the board I replaced from top side, because this is all insulated. I couldn't look on through the insulation. This was completely rotted through. I replaced that because I could see it from the top. You know, it was rotten. But you can't see this from the top. You can see it from the bottom. You take a look at this nightmare. All this because somebody didn't want to put a drain. They didn't want to go out and buy a concrete bit to install that condensation drain properly, that line. And that's why I'm really perturbed. I'm really mad, because I really think this is nothing but someone being lazy. Nothing but someone being lazy. So let's crawl around here. That's not so bad, but there's my freon line. Now, are those freon lines hanging? Are they tied up? Last time I checked, those lines are supposed to be suspended. You're supposed to suspend the large line. You call this a suspension? Look at this crap. Got your idea of a good install on freon lines? The main line's supposed to be suspended, according to what I've read. The main line's supposed to be suspended, and the small line's supposed to be taped to the main line. You're not supposed to do this. Okay? Let's keep going. I can crawl over this without touching it. Oh, look. And this is the first time I'm really getting a good look at this. Here we go again. Right? This line should have been way up here. How you like that? Oh boy. Well, just bend that around there and just leave that hanging. Put another zip tie on it, Bob. No big deal. Don't mind my sarcasm. This really gets under my skin. I don't mean to be, I guess I do. I do mean to be sarcastic ass. Because I'm a little mad. Because this should have never been done like this. So yeah. I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm mad that this home has this kind of work done with it. And it's supposed to be inspected. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be assured when you get a HUD home that everything in that home's done to code. Whatever the hell the codes are for HUD. See? So then, let's go over here. Take a look at this mess. Nothing's tidy. Nothing's correct in my opinion. I would have never ran this line like this. This line would have, this line, this suction line and pressure line, I would have ran it. I would have ran that line. I would have jogged it over, supported it against the brick, ran it along here, and it would have went right down in between the two beams and a straight shot that way. You know, an easy bend here, tied up under here, properly tied to this, and then ran over here. Nice easy run. Simple bend around that jack, up against that wall and come around. That's what I would assume would have been the proper way to do it. Let's go over here and take another peek. and then they punch a hole and don't really seal it up well and run it through the vent. I would have never ran it through the vent. I would have created a hole in the wall in the block and ran it through the block and sealed the block with expanding foam. So there you have it. Since I'm sitting under here, I can think of anything else. And then, if you know anything about the codes in Washington State, or for HUD homes nationwide, I sure would love your input. But yeah, so here we have our line. So I really want to see some resolution. I want this stuff fixed, and I think the responsible parties are the people, the company, and the installer who did not install this system properly, and they should be liable for making it right. So I would like to see this system repaired, reinstalled correctly, and if it doesn't happen, I will file a complaint with Housing and Urban Development. I will file a complaint with Labor and Industries with the state of Washington because they deal with manufactured homes. I'll file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. I'll file a complaint with the Attorney General. And then I'll make it known who did this install. So if I don't make it known who did this install, you know, they agreed to repair the damages caused to my home by their botched install of my heat pump in my home, which is gross negligence in the least. So hopefully that summarizes it, and